Okay.
Oops.
Lord help us. Where's this go?
Hey, hello everybody.
There's
Welcome.
Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Hey.
That's Sharon right down there.
Hi everybody. Welcome.
Hey.
All right. Looks like a good crowd.
Mhm.
Thanks y'all for waiting. My computer. Oh, there it is. Hey Jim.
Upside down.
Oh, wait.
Look.
Upside down.
Awesome. Wow, fantastic. It's a party. Hi everybody, welcome. Sorry, my computer just died right when I was trying to start this, but luckily it revived itself magically. So welcome everybody. So glad you're here. This is our annual GRC meetup, and we do this on the 4th Tuesday of every month. So mark your calendars. We've been pretty religious about sticking to that recently. So always something interesting and exciting to talk about. Today we have some LPFM updates. It was a really exciting time since the last time we met. A lot of applicants got their paperwork into the FCC and are now, busily awaiting to see what ends up happening with those, but lots of singletons, which is really exciting from some of the groups in here. And some other more complicated MX situations, which we'll hear about.
Are you talking about me?
I am, Jim. Always got to make it complicated. And then we'll also talk about the upcoming Grassroots Radio Conference. We will open the doors to stations that want to host again and consider those possibilities. Of course, we had an amazing conference thanks to WTSQ in Charleston, West Virginia. Seems like ages ago, but it was amazing. It was a wonderful coming together of grassroots stations from across the country. College radio stations were there, and just a real diverse range of stations. And it's always a wonderful time to be together in person with people out there doing this community radio thing, because we're definitely a rare breed. And then we'll kind of just open the floor to whatever you all have, questions, ideas, whatever community radio related. So, but we always like to just go around quickly. There's a great crowd of people here tonight. So just if you could just quickly introduce yourselves, let us know where you're from, if you've got a station or if you're applying for one, or if you're just interested in community radio, just give us a real brief introduction to who you are, and then we'll get into things. So let's see, anybody want to just jump in and be the first brave soul? I'll do it, and then we'll see who's ready to pick up the torch after that. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sharon Scott. I'm with WXOX in Louisville, Kentucky. My family and I started the station, and we're about to celebrate 8 years on air, which is super exciting. And also recently authored the book LPFM for Dummies, which is like totally crazy and weird to me, but that is a thing that happened. And so I will pass it along now. Damon, I'll pass it to you since you did a great job with the Grassroots Radio Conference.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Damon Cater. I'm the president of WTSQ in Charleston, West Virginia, and we just hosted the 2023 Grassroots Radio Conference.
We're from Youngstown, Ohio. Trees Please, Obey Concerned Citizens, all the activists from here. Back there's Jack Slanina, Terry Sarko, Mary Krupa. I'm Lynn Anderson.
Thanks, Sarah.
Oh, there's Sarah right
Russ.
over there.
Hi, Sarah. Great to finally see your faces, you all. Congratulations on getting your application in.
Oh, and Diana's from Youngstown too. She's at her house.
Hello. I'm with the Youngstown people.
Okay. Cool. And you guys can either pass it on or someone can jump in.
I'm happy to jump in if nobody else does.
Go ahead.
All right. I'm not Lynn Anderson. I'm Lindy Anderson in Madison, Wisconsin, representing MCLR. We're a part of a mixed group here, but our station has our organization has a bit of a history. We were part of a mixed group that received an LPFM construction permit and later license. We shared with another group, which we thrived sharing it as a mixed group for several years, and then we got our own station, and then we had to go off the air because the city where we were, a suburb of Madison where we had our tower, decided to build there, so we got booted off the air for a bit, and then COVID happened, and now we have another mixed opportunity. So we're grateful for those of you who helped us get this far along, and we're trying to figure out next steps.
Awesome. That's great. You guys are going for it again.
Yeah.
With all that. Jim, were you?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Jim Ellinger. I'm a longtime community media activist based here in Austin, in occupied Texas. We weren't content just to apply for one LPFM license. We applied for 7. We've got offloaded 2 so far. We have 6 remaining. Under the rubric of public safety, Central Texas towns have a long, well-documented history of floods, firestorms, disasters, ice storms, and unlike the Warren group out of Florida, which appears to have applied for just every station in the Southeast, we've applied just for 6, all within an hour's drive of the capital. We are on pins and needles here as to whether or not the FCC will allow our small cluster of public safety stations to go on while also largely dismissing, and they have started, the Warren applications. So hello to old friends and welcome new friends.
Great, thank you, Jim.
Why don't I jump in here? Hey, Jim, how you doing?
Hi, Eric.
Also from Austin, my name's Eric, the founder of KJZX LP here in Austin. We came out of the 2013 LPFM window. Didn't get on the air till 2018. It got a little complicated. Now, Austin's a great radio town, as Jim can attest to. So it's really hard to distinguish yourself, I guess, in a great radio town like Austin. So we're known as Jazz ATX, jazzatx.org. And some financial issues like most LPFMs have, but I won't get into that right now. I just want to say hello to everyone and good luck to all those who did file. So, yay.
Hey, I'm Laura
Speaking of
Lee.
Austin,
We're
I'd like
doing
to jump
Jen.
in. I'm a veteran of Austin Radio, KMFA, KHFI, call signs you guys may recognize, and I hope to come and terrorize you a little bit later this year. Go visit Jim and maybe KJZX in April. Ben Cobb with the Federal Emergency Management Agency. I work on the emergency alert system, which y'all should know and love. I had a fabulous time at Charleston. GRC, you got to attend, and I've had my head into this book, this dummies book, so I'm not so much of a dummy anymore.
I'm glad to help out there, Ben. Laura Lee?
Yes, I'm Laura Lee Harris. I'm from Kyle, Texas, which is just, hi, Jim, just
Hi.
south of Austin. Worked with Jim and the crew from Wimberley Valley Radio to get that on the air 10 years ago, 9 years ago, maybe. We are from Kyle, Texas. We are one of the radio stations that Jim applied for a public safety license. And our community has wholeheartedly backed this. As a matter of fact, we just this week got a resolution from our city council. There's Jim exhibiting our resolution from the Kyle City Council to support our FM, low power FM request. Phenomenal support here at Kyle for that, including police chief and all of the city council, all of our city administration are really excited about our opportunity here. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that we get a license. I don't know about any of the others that Jim is working with. There are some really good opportunities there, but we are ahead of the curve for sure.
Awesome. So exciting. Congratulations. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed with you. Excuse me. It's just really cool to hear about where everybody is. Let's see, Betty, you want to chime in?
Hi, everyone. I'm Betty McCardle with Community Media Assistance Project, CMAP, in Portland, Oregon. We're here to help you with most things that you might need help with. No charge to your station.
Oh, wonderful. Amazing. And partner in crime with Mr. Michael Brown, It looks like Michael's
Partner in things that are not criminal.
exactly, and keeping it non-criminal.
I don't think we've done anything illegal lately,
Well,
but I can't guarantee that's always been the case.
there
Yeah,
is a
Michael Brown Broadcast Services. Where is this camera? Okay, hello. Radio engineering consultant, primarily doing FCC applications, and we did a moderate number in this window. And looks like all of them are going to get approved.
Wow, that's amazing.
So if you want, I can give a brief update of
Yeah, let's
happening there.
Let's wait till after everybody does their.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
That'd be great. Fantastic. Okay. And anybody want to jump in, or should I pick somebody?
Oh, I can jump in.
Okay. Yeah, go for it, Bruce.
Bruce Robertson from Sanford, North Carolina. I am a community radio supporter, was in the radio business for many years. And we are a vendor of radio weather services, but I love everything about community radio.
What are you making, like that? Corn dog.
We do weather services, radio weather services. I was lucky enough to attend the GRC in Charleston, and thanks to Damon for putting on a great show. And I love to hear those folks from Youngstown. That was the last market that I worked in radio.
Wow.
How many years has that weather service been available? How many years?
We've been marketing it for about 1 year, but we've been around for 33.
That's it, 33.
Amazing. Wonderful. Okay. How about Lindy? Oh, I guess we already heard, Lindy, we already heard from you, right?
Yep, that's right.
Sorry about that.
I'll go.
Faces, it's hard for me. Okay, go ahead. Jump in.
Hey, Will Floyd here from Prometheus Radio Project and my own independent broadcast engineering business, Field Effect, down here in Marfa, Texas, where it's raining, strangely. Probably getting the last bit of this storm that y'all were getting. We also we're working on the LPFM window, put together many applications, I think probably 50 or so during this window, and helped some other folks apply, and we're gearing up to help build stations like we've done in the past. So happy to see everyone here.
Awesome.
And Lisa's here as well with Prometheus.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Catile, and I'm a contract program coordinator with Prometheus Radio Project. I came on board with them in the fall to work through the LPFM application window, and prior to being with them, I was at NFCB. Also really enjoyed GRC. It was my first one, and it was really great to see a lot of you there at that conference, and I'm just glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you all for your work in that window. I know that was insane for all of the people on the engineering side. So thank you all for your work and assistance. V, I think you were one of the applicants in this previous window, or the window that just happened.
Yes. Yeah. Hi, I'm V. I am a college radio student up at Dartmouth College. We tried as students to petition for our college to help us get an FM station back. We originally had a high-powered commercial station, which was sold during summer 2021. And we thought that an LPFM station would be a great non-commercial thing for students. That fell through in a blaze of not necessarily glory, but the after that, we kind of got back together, and we created a nonprofit, and were able to apply for a station called within the window. So we are, I guess I am the president of Upper Valley Community Sounds Incorporated. So we'll see. Hopefully things will go well. So far things seem to be going smoothly, but
wow,
we'll see.
Amazing.
Where are you from, V? Where are you from?
Oh yeah, I'm from New Jersey. So I'm out of state here, but I will probably be in the Upper Valley, like Vermont, New Hampshire region, at least for the next few years. We are like a Vermont nonprofit, or we're registered as a Vermont nonprofit. And yeah, things.
Awesome. I love this story about, getting the station, well, something arising from the ashes of this other station from this, because there's been so many college sell-offs and liquidations and things like that. And it's really depressing for students to have to go through that. And the students that do go through that, I've been through this at my alma mater, and it was just like the worst college experience possible for them. I mean, it was just like them fighting for the station and ultimately not winning. So coming out of that and being able to have something really positive, and like that you guys have this new station in the wings that's not going to be beholden at all to the university or anything like that, like that's super awesome. So I love this story. Please keep us posted with everything. Good luck. Okay, Jackson has his hand raised.
Hello, my name is Jackson Harris. I am 18 years old, the youngest person to apply for the LPFM.
Yeah.
The station, I am the owner of Northeast GA Broadcasting Corporation here in Toccoa, Georgia. The station is for people with autism and other disabilities. It's a country station, but it's for other people with disabilities and people around the community to talk about news events. It's just so I'm so glad to be in this community, which, with a bunch of other LPFMs. There's a lot of what I'm doing. I'm the first, I feel like I'm the first person that, I'm the first person who's 18 years old who's going to be building a radio station here in my home little town.
Yeah,
So
you probably will be. That's awesome. Congratulations, Jackson. Keep us posted how everything goes. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's see. Catherine?
Yeah, I'm Catherine Maston, and my husband, Randy Kane, is also on the call. And we live in Vienna, Maryland, just a few miles from Michelle, and she was instrumental in encouraging us to pursue this LPFM. It wasn't really on our radar, but we wound up starting a nonprofit, and yeah, we're a singleton, so we're going for it. And we got the book. We really appreciate your book, Sharon. So we have lots of learning to go, and we're really glad to be part of this group. Thank you.
We all have a lot of learning still to go. I mean, it's learning every day with this thing. So congratulations. That's so cool. Way to just go for it. And now, like, who knows what's going to happen. Randy, hey.
Yep. Hi, guys.
Hi. Got a great voice for radio, both of you. Let's see. Joy. I love that name. Can't beat that name. Are you able to say hello, Joy? She might be. Well, we can. Oh, okay. She's with Lindy. Okay, cool. All right. Well, hello to both of you all again. Okay, Robert.
Hi there. My name's Robert Kimes. I'm down here in Corpus Christi, Texas. We are part of one of the applications that is still in the waiting period. So I work with Jonathan Swindle, who's been taking the lead on a lot of those. And so just here to get some more information about it.
Welcome.
Yeah, amazing. So it's so cool to hear from all these new applicants. Jonathan, you want to chime in at all?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, my camera's not on because I'm driving, which is never a good idea.
Okay,
to
please
do
be
this as well.
careful.
Yeah, but so I'm the board president of our Pride organization. Robert is our vice president, and we are one of the singletons now in our public notice period. We're in Corpus Christi, Texas. I think we're one of the ones that are working with Todd Urich on this. He came to the idea, and we've presented it to our board, and we're really eager to run with it. But the biggest thing is trying to soak up as much information now as possible to really make certain that we do a good job.
Well, it sounds like you got the right attitude. So congratulations. It's so cool again that you guys are doing this. Yeah, well, we'll all go through this together. That's the cool thing about, these meetings, to connect you all and figure out what goes next. Patricia, have we heard from you yet? I'm sorry with the.
Hey, I was going to ask another question about this, but who's that radio, like that weather radio group that was like, there was like a bunch of applications dismissed from? I was going to ask that.
I think we should get to that after all the intros are
Yeah,
done.
definitely.
I don't want to get, we certainly want to welcome all you newbies. Congratulations. The LPFM license in your town is just a tremendous success, even before you get on the air. Getting down to some really complicated stuff, which will not be resolved tonight, but we may bring you up to speed. Let's get through some of the other stuff first.
Yeah, totally. And we may, not to shorten those of you who haven't spoken, but we may want to speed it up just a tiny bit, but we definitely want to hear who you are and where you are. Let's see, Ted Coe, KCSB.
I'm taking a call. I'll be right back.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking
Ted Coe.
about. Very brief. I'm kidding, Ted. Come back when you can. Jose?
Hi, my name is Jose from Quebradillas, Puerto Rico, and I'm a new applicant.
Awesome. Congratulations, Jose. That's so cool. I think we've got a number of Puerto Rican applicants this time. So that's fantastic. Great. Keep us posted. Let's see. Zuni Ba?
Hello, good evening, and Yate from Anabo Nation. We are with the New Mexico Social Justice and Equity Institute with Anna Rondon. I know she did most of the application process for our LPFM application, so that's who we're calling from.
Wonderful. Thank you all for joining us. I know, I think you all were the ones that got it in just at the last minute, and we were all really hoping that was going to happen. And it was amazing. So I think the Prometheus Radio Project jumped in there. If I'm thinking of the right station, but it was a lot of amazing teamwork. So way to go. Let's see. Please jump in if you haven't spoken yet. It's always confusing.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay. Hey,
I'll
Ted.
do it. Hey.
Hey, Ted.
Ted Coe, staff advisor, KCSB FM, UC Santa Barbara, University of California. So Santa Barbara, CA. It's a student-run community station, the first in the University of California system.
Cool.
First FM licensee in the entire state of California, as part of the University of California.
Wow. Didn't know that.
And yeah, it's good to see you all. Sorry I missed the conference in the fall.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll catch the next one. Help me and jump in if you haven't been already.
Okay, hello.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Phil Fowler. I'm in Bishop, California. I was formerly working with the Bishop Paiute tribe in building KBPT back in 2014, 2015. I've since branched off and I'm now working with the Goodent Community Arts organization. We applied for a radio station here in Bishop, and I assisted the Lone Pine tribe in applying for their application also. Both of us are singletons, so we're in the catbird seat. We're happy as clams.
Amazing. I love to hear that singleton news. Great. And way to go to rally some other people in your community to apply as well. So cool. Okay. Has anybody else? Please don't take it personally. I'm just not sure how to keep up with all these boxes. All right. Jump in now or forever hold your peace. All right, but I'm teasing because you guys can jump in at any moment. This is not a formal meeting by any means. So if you ever have anything you want to say, please do jump in. Let's start with the GRC conference, since that is something that's going to apply to everybody. And then the LPFM thing might get more intricate. So people who aren't interested in that can jump off after that. Although it feels like we have a lot of LPFM folks. Grassroots Radio Conference, for those of you who don't know, is an annual gathering in a different location, usually in a different location every year. And it is hosted by a college or community radio station. And it's been this like lovely tradition of you say you're going to host the conference and you get a quilt and you get a little bit of seed money and then we set you on your way and you host a conference. And so the conference can take many, and it has taken many different forms, from the conference that was hosted by the Wiccan radio station in upstate New York, I believe it was. That one I missed. But apparently there was lots of, campfires under the full moon along with the radio talk to the very formal KBOO had like an incredibly formal, I mean, it was formal in a grassroots radio kind of sense, but wonderful speakers that they flew in from different places in a really lovely community center and with different conference rooms everywhere, much more what you would consider a conference. But always the great thing about it is that no matter what form it takes, community and college radio people from around the country are coming together and just sharing ideas, having fun, venting about the struggles, and then there'll be a wide variety of sessions, everything from technical stuff, how to run your radio station with solar panels, to managing your staff, how do you deal with drama within your staff, things like that. How do you program things? How do you pay your music licensing? How do you keep legit with the FCC? Every aspect of running a community radio station will be covered at this conference and by the people who actually do it. And so that's what makes it so great. And it's just always a wonderful time. I would never miss a GRC if I didn't have to. So I'd highly encourage you all to be there and meet some of these characters you're seeing here in person and some of the other greats in the community radio world, some legendary folks. So it's really a free-form conference, and the hosting station can have it at any time of year that they want, although recently it's been in the fall. When I first started going, it was in the summer. The idea is just to make it so that the most stations can attend, and different times work for different stations to host it. And then the conference is usually at least 3 days worth of sessions. And so the conference host would have to have a venue for those sessions. They'd have to figure out a place where people can stay, at least, designated hotels they can stay at, stuff like that. So there's a lot of logistics, but it can be a really great, I think, team building experience for your station. WXOX hosted the online version. We were supposed to have it in person the first year of the pandemic in 2020, and we hosted it online. And even hosting it online, it really just created such bonds and connections within our station, and we all learned so much and really enjoyed hosting it. And we were, just thrilled with the turnout and how it actually worked online. And then Damon, again, WTSQ hosted it this past year, which was our first in-person conference since the pandemic. And it was a blowout. It was amazing. Everyone had so much fun, and it was just so great to be together again with all the people in the community radio world. So Damon, I want to hand it to you for 1 second, and you can just kind of let people know what it's like to host the conference, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. It's as Sharon said, you basically are just sort of designated as the host, and and you have to kind of pull it together without, when we did it, we'd never hosted a conference before. And I don't at all intend this to be, negative, but you have to understand that there isn't the GRC, like this group or this committee or the folks here. We don't come prepackaged where we can hand you a website, we can hand you your event, ticketing information. You have to sort of put that infrastructure together. And I think that's something that we could probably work on, for future conferences where we do have something that's a little bit more prepackaged and a little bit more user-friendly right off the bat. So it's not so that you're not building everything from scratch. But you have to decide how you're going to do it. Is this going to be a production of your radio station? Are you going to incorporate separately? Are you going to create new bank accounts? Are you going to, mingle the funds with your operating capital? Are you going to be using your operating capital to fund everything from the beginning? You have to heavily rely on vendors and sponsors who want to be at your conference and show up not only with a lot of the information and goods and products and services that community radio stations need, but they also show up with some dollars, and they want to contribute to the community radio scene. So there's a whole bunch of different little groups of people who have various different types of interests in the conference being successful. One of the hardest things to do I mean, if you're on this call, then you're going to know everything about the GRC in 2024. You're going to be on the mailing list. If you're on the GRC listserv, then you're going to know everything there is to know about it. But if you're not, it's hard for us to find you. It's hard for the conference organizers to identify and locate the stations that ought to be in attendance so that they can be learning this stuff. So you've really got to figure out how to network with the folks who want to attend as attendees. You've got to figure out how to network with the vendors so that they're, on scene with their products. You've got to figure out and work with the people who want to be presenters. The coolest thing about this conference by far is the grassroots community are the presenters. I mean, the folks that are driving this whole thing are the people with the knowledge, and they show up and they're ready to present. So that was for me one of the most inspiring things about the conference is that the conference attendees and the conference, this GRC group really are the ones who pull the show together and put it together. But you've got to organize everybody. You've got to get people where they need to be, when they need to be there. It's a lot of building of infrastructure that takes up a really, really big portion of the time. Before you even get to launching your website and promoting it and advertising and sinking money into, social media and Facebook and ads and trying to reach out to that community, you'll find, you're 2 or 3 months in and you haven't even started inviting people yet because you don't even know what you're inviting them to because you're having to put it all together from scratch. I think that's something that we as a community can improve on and kind of prepackage things a little bit better. I am absolutely going to do everything I can if WTSQ is not chosen to host it again in 2024, which I'm actually advocating for. I'll bend over backwards to make sure that whoever is going to host in 2024 has every bit of information and every spreadsheet and every data point that I was able to muster, and so that we do have a much more successful GRC than we had last year. But I'm also putting my hat in to host again now that we've got the infrastructure built, and we can just focus on getting community radio stations to the conference and make that 90% of my task for 2024. But I totally appreciate and understand, and there is a tremendous amount of value in sharing the GRC and having it move from community to community and city to city across the country. So I'm 100% committed to make it work either way.
Okay, I think you effectively scared every other potential candidate away. Yeah, let's I don't want to spend too long because I know people are anxious to get to the LPFM situation, but at this point we are opening up to any station who's interested in hosting. We've got our first potential candidate, which is WTSQ hosting again. That would be the first time I think it would be in the same place consecutive years. I definitely see the benefit of that from what Damon's just described, and I know they could host another amazing conference. But the one thing is that it can be more difficult for the reason it's in different places every year is so people in different parts of the country can attend. So we don't want to scare any. I know there's some people on the West Coast that were interested. Anyone who's interested is absolutely welcome to submit their name into the hat. And we'll post through the GRC listserv an application form for stations who are interested, it has just a couple very basic questions to, just to make sure you can do this. So if anyone's not on the GRC listserv, you should be, and that's where these invitations go out, and you can just keep up to date on things, and then we'll send that application out and you can apply there. Betty,
Sharon,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Damon.
Yeah, and I mean, I shouldn't forget some of the couple things. And then again, I'm not trying to scare people, but I think that this is another really important thing to understand. That with a lot of in-kind donations from our venues, from sponsors, et cetera, the total cost of the GRC came in at around $25,000. We grossed about $35,000.
Oh, way to go.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that people we need to understand that the GRC does have the potential to be a a driving force in the radio community. That there is, that if we can make this even more successful by doing, having each city do it 2 years in a row, I would like to, instead of, passing on the $1,500 seed money. I mean, I think if the hosting station does it 2 years in a row, I think there's the opportunity to see that monetary impact increase substantially. So, something that I would be committing to would be saying, all right, if you allow us, if we get to do it again, I'm almost certain that we're going to be able to generate a much higher return, and we would be able to pass, rather than $1,500 to the next station, pass $5,000 to the next station, and see that kind of momentum grow, every 2 years, so that, imagine, 10 or 15 years from now, when somebody puts their hand up to say, I want to host the GRC in 2028 or 2030, the seed money could be, significant. It could be $20,000, or it could be, $25,000 being handed off to a station to put on a conference that's really going to have an impact on the radio community at large. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
I was gonna say, let's
Real
get
numbers
some.
are super important.
Yeah, totally. It's really important to think about all that. I was going to say, let's, and I think you have some really important points here, and there really should be something like this with more momentum and energy for the GRC. But I think let's save the real pitch. Let's go ahead and, see who else is interested, and then we can have you all, do your hardcore pitch at another meeting. But I sound like you're doing good. It sounds like you're doing good. Betty McArdle was one of the hosts with the KBOO GRC in Portland, Oregon, which
2018.
yeah. Yeah, Betty, if you could quickly tell us a little,
I want to respond to Damon for a moment. And my gut feeling is that I don't want to see GRC become like other conferences. I want it to stay humble. And I've been beginning to sound like Al Davis. So anyway, there is that thought. And, it used to be 2,500 to the next host. I don't know what happened to that other 1,000, but
mysterious.
It seems to me, this is what we did in Portland in 2018, is that if there was going to be more money left over than we were going to send to the next host, we opened up more scholarships and got more people to come, more people that maybe can't afford to do things like this. So I think that saying that you're going to pass on $5,000 to the next host, I really would like to have that thought out pretty well. We kept expenses as low as we could. A mistake that we made was to not have a hotel that was part of the conference, although we did book a lot of space in the local youth hostel. But, for those of us a little bit older than youth hostels, you might want a hotel room that has some of the niceties of life. We did have a lot of really great speakers, in addition to folks that are part of a community radio station. We had folks that are somehow associated. Mignon, I forgot Mignon's last name all of a sudden.
Clyburn.
Thank you. Mignon Clyburn was one of our speakers, and she had recently been on the FCC commission and had a lot of really great things to say. One thing that was really excellent about how we did, KBOO was the host station. Michael and I are members of KBOO and have been forever, a long time. And we had an organizing committee made up mostly of people working at the station, and a few of the volunteers like me that have background in organizing events like this. And we had committees, and we had people that with their own things that they were responsible for, and breaking it up like that was really a good idea. I was co-chair with Becky Meyer, who's now in Alaska. And so the committees would report back to me and Becky and everybody else and discuss how that was going, and really kept on top of things that were a little bit dicey, not going so well. And we really depended a lot on past hosts, other really connected community radio folks.
Yeah.
So that's about all I've got to say on that.
Well, that's wonderful. And I think that that's a really good point, that even though there is basically you get $1,500 seed money and a quilt, a beautiful magical quilt. We had the quilt, we loved it. And that's what you get. But you also get this amazing community of people who've hosted before that can guide you through it, help you out, sometimes a little too much, so you can tell them, wait, we got it, whatever it is. But there's a lot of people there that are willing to help you make this conference a success. And then it's just kind of like a low bar, like people just want to be there and get together. So you don't really have to like woo them with the perfectly planned conference. You just want it to work. So anyway, if anyone is interested in hosting, any of the stations are interested in hosting, whether you're on the line now or watching this recording, we definitely would encourage you to do so. You know, we just would love to, you know, make this an amazing conference again this next year. And we will.
So I had a question for Damon.
Go ahead.
So what are you doing with the profits that you made this year or last year?
Well, so there's right now they're sitting in a separate account that we have created for events and fundraisers. Are not in our operational account at this point, and the seed money is sitting in there as well. So, you know,
so the profits go to the sponsoring organization. Is that how the GRC works?
Yeah, because the GRC, there really isn't such thing. There is no legal entity called the Grassroots Radio Conference. So there's nothing to transfer the funds to. You know, like, and I think I see what you're saying, Lloyd, is like, you know, if the Grassroots Radio Conference was its own legal entity, and you know, and it had the ability to fund you know, a significant portion of a startup for you know, an applicant, then, you know, I could see that a portion of that money returning to the GRC entity, but nothing like that exists at this point.
Yeah, right now it's this, if the station makes money off the conference, then they can keep anything on top of that seed money. And it's a lot of work. So I'm gonna say
yeah.
you're probably gonna want to keep that. Your station will deserve it.
Yeah, I probably I'd say made about $1.50 an hour for
Yeah, something like that. So you can use it, you know, for whatever endowment for your station or thing you need for your station or something like that.
Yeah, but in the past, it was understood that it was not a fundraiser for the host station, and that they should be doing whatever they can with, like I said, with what we did, we opened up more scholarships. So I want us to kind of damp down a little bit on this profits discussion.
Bennett, you had a couple comments?
Yes, just very briefly. Damon was interviewed in a blog post on the Pacifica Network website. And it's a very interesting article. In just a moment, I will post the link to that article in the chat. Highly recommend everybody read it. And the other comment is, you know, the people and the email addresses and postal addresses of all the LPFM stations and all the LPFM applicants are public record.
Right.
And depending on my situation later this year, my employment relocation situation is a little bit up in the air, but I would like to tentatively help support gathering those addresses and using them for mailings, whether postal mailings, email, what have you, to help publicize the next GRC conference, as well as possibly publicize Sharon's book. I've already proposed that to her because that's another way we can reach people. I'm not sure if that type of thing was done for the Charleston conference.
Yeah, so the issue with that was that a lot of those lists, you know, when we reached out to the people, the last LPFM window that compiled that list was 2013. I would say 80% of the response was undeliverable, or the people who had been involved in 2013 were no longer involved.
Well, what I'm talking about is getting it from the FCC.
Yeah, so having that fresh data list,
Yeah.
you know, is going to be absolutely essential to whoever does this, is, you know, making sure that we do have this new list of new stations. And I mean, it's the perfect opportunity for, you know, these startup stations to become involved in the GRC in 2024, no matter where it is.
Yeah, totally. All right. So if we have any data miners out there, let's get on it. Let us know. Well, I'm going to move the conversation forward now that because we've got a lot of LPFMers here. Sorry, it's taken a bit to get around to this. But of course, we had the LPFM window in December. It was like an amazing, exciting experience. And we have a lot of folks on here who are applicants and folks who worked behind the scenes. Betty's laughing maniacally about that. the experience. It was like, you know, it was really crunch time, especially for the folks like Betty and Michael working behind the scenes, Jim, Prometheus folks. So I guess I'd like to hear from maybe, you know, from our engineers, Michael, Will, I think Pete, what, I don't know, maybe. Anyway, so sorry, I'm not keeping up with who all's on the line, but let you all jump in. Michael, we'll start with you. If you could just, you know, give us like a brief synopsis of where we are and, you know, what these folks on the line are going to expect next.
Well, there were 1,336 applications. Almost half of those were singletons and have been accepted for filing already. Most of those were accepted for filing in just a couple of days. And so in early February, that comment period will have 30-day comment period will have expired, and we could see the first grants in the month of February. And also at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern, I think it is, on January 31st, the freeze on minor modifications of applications that were filed in the window will be lifted. And so if you have
that date?
Yes?
What's the date again? I'm sorry.
January 31st.
Okay.
It was either 3 or 6 p.m. Eastern or Pacific. You can look it up. Anyway, so any corrections or additions you want to make, you should try to do that right away. Not all things are correctable, and we probably don't have the time to go into that, but and we expect that either at that time or shortly thereafter that the FCC will come out with their official list of the MX groups. We already Michi's already put together what she thinks are the groups, and most of those are probably correct. And there will be at least 60 days for settlements or minor modifications, technical solutions. If you're not the winner in your MX group, you'll have an opportunity soon, perhaps in as little as a week from now, to file a modification to get out of the MX group if it's possible for you to do that. And these are first come, first serve, so it behooves you to act quickly if you're able to act. And so what I would suggest is anybody who, if you have any corrections to make, or you're in an MX group and you're not the winner, get ready for taking action early next month to take action on that. Now, we're just a brief word about those that are the presumptive winners of their MX group. You can just sit the thing out and let the FCC make the decision, probably in your favor. But it's usually better to try to get a settlement even when you're the presumptive winner, because you will most likely be bound by the commitments you made for main studio presence and local programming. And if you don't want to have to be tied into those restrictions in perpetuity, you need to be a singleton. And so if you can get the others to bow out, that's usually to your advantage. And by the way, there's no prohibition from applicants in an MX group from communicating with each other right now. So you can already be talking with them about what the future may hold. So I'll just leave it at that. There's a lot more we could get into, but there's probably not time. But that's an overview of what's coming up real soon.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I think that was a great overview. And I think what we should do is probably have another webinar when we can dig into some of, more stuff like this for folks who are interested. But let's see. We've got Prometheus on the line. Do you guys want to jump in? And Will, Lisa, do you guys want to make any comments?
I thought that was a good overview from Michael. Paul's also here. There's a lot of detail to go into, and especially with MX groups and that coming up. But given the amount of time here, I think perhaps, we're working, as I imagine Betty and Michael are, and Michelle over at RAC on helping applicants, especially those who are in MX groups and might not be familiar with the process. So you can get in touch with us directly about that. Perhaps if there's questions, this would be a good forum to ask. You got Michael Brown here, you got Paul Boehm, and some other veterans of LPFM. So.
Yeah, hey, Paul, I didn't realize you were here. Can say hello to our crew. Paul's one of the Paul's one of the engineers with the Prometheus radio project. Again, they did a lot during this window and the previous window, and to make the LPFM window happen at all in their advocacy.
Well, I'll throw a question out.
Go for it, Jim.
Okay. Ours is so complicated. It would probably have not marginal interest to many of our new friends. But never one to pass up an opportunity to get free advice from a lawyer or a consultant or an engineer. I will throw this one question out, but it might be a follow-up. Besides Austin Airwaves and Warren, are there any other clusters of public safety applications pending?
Yes, this is Paul at Prometheus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Many, one or two?
I don't know. I just know that I put one in. I think they had ended up with 6 or 8 in their cluster. It was a rural county. It's Trinity County, Texas. It's east of Humboldt or Arcata, California. And not many people there, very spread out, very hilly. So, it's kind of the way to do it because you can't even cover it with a big station.
Correct. So I will follow up. So there are at least a few other applicants that are applying as public safety outlets, which allows you to apply for more than one. In our case, they're all within an hour's drive of the Capitol. They're all singletons. If we didn't apply for these licenses, they wouldn't get one. And we're not we are not entirely confident that our application will be accepted. What is your opinion of the public safety group's chances? And you can speak as cautiously as you'd like, please.
Yeah, I'm going to be cautious, because I'm also going to pull in another topic.
Gotcha.
A lot of this, how successful things are going to be, is going to depend on how dog eat dog, LPFM killing aggressive petitioning goes. As many of us have probably read the lists of all the flaws in all the LPFM maps, according to certain people. And that's basically a hit list. So if you want to do it that way, you can.
Peace.
But I think if you, if you don't have a lot of petitioning and stuff, I think the FCC is not going to be, out to get public safety.
That's a wise and cautious answer. Thank you. May I propose at this time that in the near future, maybe next week, that public safety applicants have their own meeting?
Certainly.
And actually, I put in a couple others, but only one of them has multiple stations.
I mean, there's a couple of us. I mean, it's so, again, our friend Michi is not online, who's really pushing the issue. And I think perhaps because of her love of community radio, she didn't ruffle any feathers, shall we say, going into the process. And Warren is a real problem. It's nice to think that little groups like ours, we don't make any money. We're just trying to give people radio stations. It could hand deliver a half a dozen radio licenses to towns that really need them. That's a wonderful thought. That's our motivation. But again, we are being very cautious in our posturing.
I am really worried about this because, having covered the FCC for a long time, I feel they could easily just look at some of these apps and say, these are not public safety entities.
Yes.
The rule is strict about what qualifies as a public safety agency, the types of organizations I deal with every day in my FEMA job. And I'm worried that they're going to just focus on that and see that some of these applicants do not qualify as public safety agencies and not grant the application. This is what keeps me up at night, Jim.
Yeah, I hear you. You're spot on.
There's a counterpoint to that, which is not very strong one. We helped an applicant into the 2013 window, and maybe more than one, who didn't try to apply for multiple stations, but they did apply for the public safety thing, and they were a straight nonprofit with documentation from their government agencies, saying they're going to do good public safety stuff, blah blah blah. And it's not a strong counterpoint because they were single nonprofits, getting single stations, so they weren't really pushing the boundaries, but they were accepted and granted. So there's a little bit of a weak precedent there. Somebody asked what WARN is. That's the Wide Area Radio Network or something like that. It's a weather organization, and I'll let somebody else who's looked into it a little more.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually move the conversation on a little bit from that, but basically they put in a ton of applications. It's a weather alert radio network, I think.
That's right. Yep.
And so if you guys want to look through the list of applicants, you will see their name a lot. And I posted, Rec Networks has the list of what they think the MX groups are, and that's posted in the chat there. So you can look at that and you will be seeing their name over and over and over again. And I know Paul, Prometheus posted some stuff too on their website that we can look at.
Yeah, we've been trying to keep up with, fairly straightforward explanations of stuff that's happening. Not trying to do the data deluge thing. And so I think that a lot of the first time applicant type questions can probably be answered if you just read over our stuff.
Cool. And that's prometheusradio.org. And Paul put that link in the chat. I know that's a good resource. And I kind of want to just back up because there's a lot of singleton first time applicants on here. And I wanted to just check in with you engineers while we have you on the line and just see what they should be doing now. They're just holding tight and waiting for, first of all, they should have all posted public notice. Michael, can you start with that and then let us know what they should be doing from here?
Yeah, by now, within 5 business days, which is usually 7 calendar days of your application being accepted for filing, you have to post the notice on your website, or there's a list of alternative websites if you don't have one. Most of the groups we work with, if they didn't already have a website, they just signed up for one and got it up. But there's no newspaper local public notice even possible anymore. So, but that needs to be done. I don't know if the FCC is monitoring this or enforcing it, but I wouldn't risk it.
In other words, if you haven't done it yet, make it happen now.
If you haven't done it yet, make it happen now and then run it for 30 days after you start it, even though the 30-day, the interesting thing is you've got like a week to get it up, but the clock starts ticking as far as when formal petitions to deny can be filed as soon as you are accepted for a filing. So you're going to be probably running it after the window for objections closes. Anyway, yeah, get it up. And it doesn't look like there's been a large number of petitions to deny. Actually, only a small handful. So that's encouraging. And that window has to close before the commission is even allowed to act on your application. But soon after that 30-day period closes, the commission will probably start granting the easiest ones. They always take the low-hanging fruit first. And so that's how we're expecting the first grants will probably be before the end of February. But
Do
anyway,
you think the public service stations will just be a part of that easy one? Again, we're all singletons, but we're kind of a public service station that could have a better posturing, shall we say?
Well,
Do you think they'll just roll through all the singletons?
Well, has it been accepted for filing yet?
Not yet.
Well, then they're not going to grant anything that hasn't been accepted for filing and 30 days pass after that. So
Jim, post your email maybe in the chat if you want to organize the safety meeting.
I shall.
I think it's a good idea to have that separate.
Yeah. And okay, so once their applications are they would be granted is the next step for the singletons. If they don't have any petitions to deny against them. So right now we're all just laying low and kind of being chill because we don't want to draw a lot of attention to our applications because there may be some bad guy out there that doesn't want us to have it. So right now we're just we've done our public announcement at the minimum that we have to do. And now we're just kind of laying low and hoping that they will turn to granted. How will people know if their application has been granted?
Good question. I don't think that maybe someone else can jump in here. I mean, I get emails through the software I'm using and also check the Daily Digest. And you can always, of course, look up where your application is on LMS or on Michi's website. But I don't think you're going to be getting any notification immediately from the FCC. But eventually they've been emailing CPs at this point, are they not? I'm drawing a blank now. I think they actually are, but you may not get it immediately.
A CP, for you all who don't know.
Construction permit, yeah. I mean, almost everything is being done by email now and not by US mail.
So so you'll be when we say granted, they'll be granted their construction permit. So they're permit to build their radio station.
Actually, I think they are actually emailing construction permit now but not always the day it happens.
Yes, I've been getting them pretty regularly, but I'm not sure I'm getting all of them, and there's some typos in the addresses. So
yes,
always good to have a backup plan. Reading the Daily Digest at the FCC, the link that Lisa just posted on our website about our website has that in the resources at the bottom. That's one way to do it. Michi has a website, c.today or something like that. I can't remember what it is, which purports to do this very well. I just don't use it, but a lot of people do. And you can't trust LMS for accepted for filing status, but you can trust it for granted status if you look up your application.
Yeah.
So, okay. And to look up your application, is there a link for that, or would they just like log in to their LMS?
You can log in with your FRN and password, but any applications that were filed are searchable by anyone. You can search it by in LMS by the organization name or the community of license or any number of other ways of doing it.
The
So
way we usually advise people, because it's hard to remember those links and stuff, is to just ask FCC or ask Google for FCC LMS search.
yeah. And then just bookmark your application. And yeah.
Okay, that's great.
I want to remind everybody to look in the chat because there are several links listed here for stuff that people are just now talking about, like Michi Bradley's page and Prometheus's page. Those links are in the chat.
And there's on Facebook, I don't have a link for it, but it's just LPFM database on Facebook. And he just posts basically the FCC filings that have to do with LPFMs. So he should start posting the granted things when they come up. Okay, and then once they get granted their construction permit, Michael, what is the next step? Now the clock starts ticking. They have 2 years to build.
They have 3 years to build.
3 years, sorry.
And unlike full power stations, you don't have to do ownership reports or anything like that. You basically just you have 3 years to build, and when you build, you file a 319 for station license, and don't be late.
Another thing about LPFMs is they don't have to have the public file online. So
Yes.
start the station and get on the air.
Yeah, a lot less paperwork, which is fantastic.
Yeah, so once you have your construction permit, the only other thing you're going to file before you get on the air is, or at the time you get on the air, will be the application for license.
And you said that's a Form 319?
319 is application for LPFM license.
And so you have to get on the air and at least be on the air long enough to say your call letters by the time that 3 years.
Well, actually, you bring up a good point. Call letters.
All
There
right.
is an application for that. You'll need to do that.
That will have to, yeah, that's along the way. That's the really fun part.
Yeah. And
And
you can, by the way, you cannot reserve call letters until you have a construction permit in hand, but that doesn't stop you from doing a search now. And Michi has a utility for that too.
Oh, but that's no fun. It takes all the fun out of it.
We have dibs on KYLE. Thank you.
And actually, Betty is particularly good in finding call letters. So
What is the FCC web? I think it's really fun personally, just to sit there and punch. I mean, it can be very daunting. The FCC has a website, a place on their website where you can type in call letters and see if they're available or not. And you may just sit there for hours, literally, and all of them are unavailable. And then suddenly you get one that's available. What I did is whenever we got one that was available, whether I liked it or not, I wrote it down on a piece of paper because they're so rare. And you really can't get your heart set on certain call letters if you don't know that they're available, because unless you're WHIV, the chances are you might not get your first choice.
Remember your call letters, there's 6 of them. You have 4 letters and then you have LP.
Yes.
And when you have to identify your station on the hour, you have to use all those call letters, including LP, followed immediately by the city of license. So many stations miss this ID issue, and it's a real pain for me when I try to explain to stations the most basic rule. If you don't know how to identify your station, you're not going to be able to run a station. So remember that LP when it's time to ID on the hour.
They have also said, though, that you do not have to include the LP when it's not actually on the hour. On your
Right. It's only for your legal ID on the hour.
Right. So I put our legal ID in the chat. Like Bennett said, it's your call letters with LP and then your city of license. It seems very simple, but seriously, Bennett, with our staff, like we have to do it as a staff at every staff meeting. I make them say it because it's amazing all the varieties of ways they manage to say it that's incorrect. So that's a fun activity for your staff.
Our founder was dead set on WTSQ for some reason, and a Coast Guard station out in Washington State had those call letters, but they didn't have a radio station operating, and we actually talked them out of their call letters, and we hijacked a Coast Guard call letter station for ours.
That's awesome.
We in Austin that happened as well. Co-op KOOP was formerly a nautical license that I don't even know if they knew they had it, and we petitioned for that. Got it.
Yeah.
Bill is saying in the comments that KBPT also petitioned and was able to get it from the Coast Guard. So if you come up with a call letter and it says, what does it say? Something like may be available from the Coast Guard, something of that nature. Contact this person to have it released or something like that. So obviously it works. I've never tried it. That's great.
Yeah, actually, any call letter that's in use by another station that isn't a low power FM or a low power TV can potentially be reused with the permission of that other station. But generally speaking, these days they turn us down.
Yeah.
So, but you can try if it's wonderful call letters, particularly if the other station is the other end of the country, you might convince them. But anyway.
And so if you're on the East Coast, on the east side of the Mississippi, your call letters are going to start with a W. And if you're on the west side of the Mississippi, they are going to start with K.
Except
Except where?
Waco.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wacko.
Kansas
Yeah,
State.
they're doing everything a little weird down there, right?
Maybe everybody's not watching the chat, but Catherine has a question that fits into this area of our discussion. Once you start up, do you have to be on the air for a minimum number of hours each week?
Yeah, and it was answered in there. Lisa answered it as 36 hours per week.
That's one of the
there's-
questions on Mishy's new test.
Yeah.
Everybody should take Mishy's LPFM regulatory test. That's one of the questions on there.
Yeah.
But with the availability of automation, I see no reason why any station should ever be off the air, unless you're running on battery power in Alaska or something and trying to save power.
Before we leave this topic, there's a couple more things I think it might be worth knowing or refreshing. Besides the fun thing of trying to get your call sign, a less fun thing that you might consider filing before you get your station built is keeping up with changes to your board of directors. You really only should. You don't have to do it as much as full power stations, and I can't advise you to break the law or anything, but it's pretty flexible with LPFMs. But the thing you really, 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 really don't want to do is have your board change enough that none of the names are still on it from what the FCC thinks your names are. So that doesn't usually happen in 3 years, but some organizations turn over their boards really fast. So if you're one of those, make sure that you have at all times somebody in your board who is on the last one the FCC knows about. The other thing is that when you go on the air, most of us will have what's called program test authority built in, and you'll be able to pretty much just switch on at broadcasting. That absolutely must happen before your construction permit expiration. There are exceptions. You don't want to get into it. You want to avoid them if you possibly can. And then once you switch on, you have 10 days to file your license to cover, which really file your license to cover before your construction permit expires. Just save yourself some worry.
There actually is a mini application in LMS for program test authority. This is a step that a lot of stations skip, but it really should be done. File that mini application and then file the formal full application.
And I think we'll do another webinar that will go over all these details. Thank you, Paul. That was really helpful. If the board does change significantly, there's something they should file with the FCC to let the FCC know.
Yeah, it's a non-pro forma transfer of control schedule. Probably 316.
Okay.
It's Form 2100 Schedule 316. This new LMS system is just really kind of a mouthful.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, it's a pro forma transfer of control, and it's made for other purposes, so it's pretty onerous to fill it out.
Well, hopefully everyone is connected either with Prometheus, with Brown Broadcast Services, with Rec Networks, with Common Frequency, or some of the others that are advocating for community radio that have engineers and lawyers and things like that that can advise you and help you in these situations. If not, I've posted my email in the chat a while back. I'd be happy to put you in touch with any of them and all of them. Let's see, for the okay, so if they've got a singleton, they're just waiting for their construction permit to be granted, and at which point they need to, and they should already just be going ahead and getting busy with making sure their tower site is in the right place, accumulating the money to get the equipment. And you all, once you're granted your construction permit, correct me if I'm wrong, you all, and you get all your gear together, you can go on air at any point. Is that correct?
Yep.
And then at that time is when you file your 319, right, Michael? And let the FCC know that you're gonna have to let them know as soon as you go on air, right? I mean, you can test it a little bit, right? And
well, there's actually a separate mini application for equipment testing, and I can go into the difference. I can do it in 20 seconds if you want.
Okay, go ahead, sure.
Equipment testing is when you're still trying out the equipment and you're not sure it's going to work. Program testing is when you're finished testing and you're ready to begin regular operation. And so if there's more than a couple of days between these two events, then you probably should file the mini equipment test application also. And then file the program test application, and then file the 319. This sounds like a lot of work, but the first two are really, a half a page. They take you 10 minutes to fill out. So
they're exciting that you go on the air. Every time we've done it, it's been a disaster of some sort unfolding. The equipment test and the programming test where you're authorized to go on, but you're not expected to start entertaining and stuff. Certainly in our cases, there's been emergency announcements for the next 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, if when you're equipment testing, the bottom line is you're not supposed to be doing regular programming and certainly not running any underwriting. Right. You're just playing, tracking through an MP3 or something just to make sure everything still works.
Cool. So getting exciting. So we're getting really close to some of these stations being able to, fire things up. It's so cool. Okay, and then for the folks who are still stuck in MX situations, what are they supposed to be doing right now? Trying to find an exit to their MX situation? This is a much more complicated question.
If you think you're the winner, as I suggested, I would be communicating with the others and see if you can get them to gracefully bow out. They are allowed to ask for and be granted reimbursal of their reasonable prudent expenses. If they're nice people, they won't even ask for that. But if you're not the presumptive winner, you really should be looking hard at is there an alternative site or frequency that I can move to get out of this MX group where I'm not going to win. Or alternately, and probably looking at the presumptive winner and see if there's any fatal flaws that you can uncover.
Betty, do you want to address what those fatal flaws are? I know
they could look that works both ways.
Yeah, you got the wrong coordinates. You are not registered as a corporation in your state.
Yes.
At the moment, my brain just went blank. But
Well, actually, the first thing that's usually done is to call the phone number that everybody needed to have on their application for the reasonable assurance for the site.
yeah,
See if they actually had reasonable assurance. And if they didn't, you got them, because that's not something you can fix after the fact.
And this is, we're getting into the area of what I was saying before. A lot of the things that are potential problems aren't real problems until somebody comes after you like this.
Exactly. These are things that the FCC on their own is not going to check. And so
it don't miss, it's the process. It's designed to be a competitive process. And when you do this, it's an aggressive act, and just know that. And there is also more creativity than we usually exploit available if you're willing to do settlements. One of the most radical things you can do is, if you want to, let's say you have a 5-point and a 4-point applicant and an MX, they can agree to timeshare. You know, I mean, sometimes people to get what they want. So that's an unlikely situation, but it's possible.
I would say
cooperatively.
That from my experience, really work hard to avoid a timeshare. Thank you.
As I said in the chat, finding the dirt on your opponents in an MX group is something that CMAP can help you with.
Yeah.
A reminder, at no charge to your group.
That's fun. That can be fun stuff. But things like if one of the other groups didn't include their engineering study and there needs to be one, the FCC will clear those out. So you don't need to do anything with those. Am I correct?
Well, interestingly, and I think Paul can comment on this, if there was no second adjacent waiver needed, there's no explicit requirement for a written engineering study. And we've seen some LPFM applications granted without any engineering study, but there was nothing complicated about it. I would never file something like that, but they can be granted. So that alone is probably not a fatal flaw. Paul?
And I didn't mean to scare people who wouldn't need that without a second adjacent, where the second adjacent waiver isn't needed, they would not have had to turn in an engineering study.
Yeah, I think it's important to do, but apparently not essential.
Yeah, it's not essential. I put in hundreds and hundreds without engineering studies, because they just run their software, and I've copied their software and I know how it works. So I know what they're going to do anyway.
Yeah. I mean, they will check your engineering study. That much they do.
The other thing to realize is that if you're thinking about going after somebody, see if you can find out who knows their service and support people. There are, for example, lawyers in this field who are skilled at being aggressive to the point of being unethical.
Yeah.
There are LPFM advocates, self-call, who are known to be aggressive and will rat you out to local authorities and all kinds of things to kill your app. So be careful whose tail you twist if you go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's other things that can get them eliminated. One, I've noticed a few different groups, like these lifestyle groups. I don't know, there's such and such lifestyle groups. And it turns out, like, I looked into them a little bit more. They're all about teaching like women how to act like good wives and crap like this. But I've looked up some of their applications and they're totally bogus board members. You know, you can search the address of the board member. It's supposed to be their home address, and it's some like just field in the middle of Minnesota, you know, and all three of the board members happen to live in this one weird field. So there's stuff like that. If you can find out that they're, you know, not real people, or they don't really live in the area. That's one way. Pirate broadcasting, of course, is a fatal flaw. That one hurts me to my soul. Never have done the pirate broadcasting, for the record. But I do have a bit of affinity for pirate broadcasters. However, if your competitor has been pirate broadcasting and you can prove that, either through the FCC's actions or by recording them pirate broadcasting in some way and turning that into the FCC, you can get them eliminated in that way. But
Actually, have any of you veterans ever heard of that actually happening? Has anybody actually submitted a tape saying Joe was a pirate and therefore his application dismissed? Michael, have you ever heard of that actually happening?
I can't, I think I have, but I can't point to it right now.
What about what about the Prometheus boys? You ever heard of that? Somebody getting popped because they were an actual, recording, I suppose is what it would take.
No, I haven't, but that's not actually how it probably would go. What I've heard is that you're on solid ground if the FCC had identified that person as a pirate in the past.
Yeah, you're not going to open a new enforcement case.
that's not true.
No.
You could actually open a new enforcement case.
Well,
if you're not on the
how
air,
long that would take. The
heavy
FCC is required by Congress to operate a special website listing their enforcement actions against pirates. There's actually a public FCC pirate database special website devoted to this. If somebody who is on the board of a competing applicant is listed therein as having had enforcement action against them for pirate, then that work is already done, and you could demonstrate that, to the FCC. I believe this has come up before, and I also cannot put my finger on it, but I believe there has been some identification of prospective board members or prospective board members who did have enforcement action against them for pirate operations. I just wish I had the data in front of me.
And
this is also a dirty trick that will be used by your opponents at times to say, oh, well, I know that you did a pirate broadcast when you were 2 years old, and I'm going to rat you out to the FCC, and this is likely to be coming from your neighborhood commercial station.
Yeah, if they're not in the enforcement records, then that's going to be bogus.
Well, no,
Right,
you can get them in that. You can get them in that database, though.
Now
It's going to take some time for the MX to go through, and there's a good chance that if you find out now that your competitor is pirate broadcasting and you record that and you turn that into the FCC, they actually have a website for reporting pirates. Then it's kind of just a race game to see if the FCC is gonna act on that pirate action prior to the MX being decided, and if they do, they will eliminate that pirate. And I know from experience from not from me, speaking from a friend, in the previous window that was successful.
It's a novel approach. It could work. You just need to do your homework and document what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say these tend to be nasty fights with knives out. Better to somehow reach an amicable resolution. We've been in MXs, we've been in some pretty nasty fights, and everybody walks away limping.
Not everybody.
Don't do it.
Somebody wins. So we got to get dirty too. I mean, there's the other actors out there are dirty and tough, and this is the time to be dirty and tough if you want to get a community radio station for your area. That's my opinion. It depends who your competitor is, of course. You wouldn't want to do that to another amazing community radio group, but you might want to do it to someone else.
Well, and it comes.
This is the time to get dirty right now. If you really want the license.
It comes in 2 phases, so you get to see whether you have to get dirty.
That's true.
The first phase is going to be voluntary, and you can try the agreements and the cooperation. Then, if it gets pushed against the wall, then the petitions will fly.
That's right.
Yeah. That's the Full Employment for Lawyers Act.
What's Oxenford charging per hour these days?
We have plenty of friends charge $200, $300, and $400 an hour, and they consider that cheap. If that's
well, that is cheap for Beltway lawyers.
Oh God, yeah, not even Beltway.
Even ones that haven't been practicing all that many years. $600 to $700 seems to be the floor per hour.
Yep.
So, yeah, it can get expensive quickly.
So get all the legal advice you can through the GRC conference.
Yeah, that's why we're here today.
That's right. We're not lawyers, but we do have some
Right.
seasoned engineers here. Okay, so the people in the MX, if you're in an MX, hopefully you have some of these great people that you can consult about what you need to do. Betty has offered her assistance in helping you either, first of all, come into an amicable solution with your MX partners, and if not, then you might have to pull those knives in.
And find call letters, which is much more fun.
Right, and call letters are super fun. So everyone should be searching for call letters now because they're, like I said, hard to find. It will take you hours to find one, days potentially, that you like. So go ahead and be doing that now, because it sounds like as soon as, just to confirm, as soon as the FCC grants those CPs, Michael, people will be able to then apply for their call letters?
Yeah, the moment you have the CP in hand, you can formally apply for the call letter. And that's also an LMS app now. So.
And you want to do that right away if you have call letters you like, because there'll be other applications getting granted and they might like those as well.
It's first come, first serve on call letters. Yeah.
And to do that, Michael, where do you go? You log into your application, or how do they do that?
I didn't quite understand the question.
Oh, I was asking when they.
But I have to. LMS can be confusing. You have to get to the right page before you can do a blue drop down to give you what you want to do, and it's sometimes confusing. I don't have it in my head, but.
I have a comment on call letters. You know, you're going to be saying these thousands and thousands of times, and I've always considered that you should get call letters that are easy to say. Some people have, you know, lots of W's and things with lots of syllables, and it's a whole lot better if you're going to be on the air to have call sign that's easy to say.
Good point. And think about marketing too, how it will look in images and things like that. See if it, you know, conjures anything. Like, what are some of the ones that are a bit like, you know, WKKK, I'm pretty sure is available.
We have WRWK up here in Virginia. And by the way, on your call letters, get your internet domain registration in place for that, whether you use a .org or a .fm or however you want to do it, because other people may grab that and want to sell it back to you.
Right.
So
WKKK is available.
It's available.
WKKK, it's available. Yeah.
That actually makes me very happy.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm glad. I'll be pretty sad actually the day someone claims those call letters.
Personally, I don't think you should necessarily pick call letters that are acronyms for your organization. I think what's more important is the best call letters are ones that you hear once and you never forget. I mean,
yeah.
And like KBOO is a great call letter, of course. You know, you hear it once, you don't have to hear it again. You'll remember it. Those are the best ones. There aren't that many left in that category, but if you can find it, that's what you want to go for.
And sometimes things get released. So if you searched like a year ago, you might want to try searching again and see if it's become available now. And Paul has posted that the Prometheus website will soon have a step-by-step guide to getting your call letters. So that's awesome. Make sure everybody knows about that.
Yeah, we try to cover that spot about where the hell in LMS do you have to be for the one menu that's the same on every freaking page to have the thing that you need to have in it.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, we're glad you're there for that, guiding us through it. And speaking of websites, I was going to say, if anyone's in an MX and you've not yet been accepted for filing, you will need to have a website once you are accepted for filing, and you'll need to post your public notice there. So we may want to go ahead and be proactive about that, because it can take a minute for new websites to show up in the search feature of Google and stuff like that. And you need to have it searchable for it to count as your public notice. And like
anybody on this call want to build a website for us?
Well, Michael, didn't you say that there are alternate websites provided that can be used for this purpose?
Well, there's, it's actually in the FCC rules. It can be a community bulletin board kind of website, and we've even had some applicants where a local newspaper had a web presence and they posted the link for that on that homepage. They may have had to pay for that, but it's just easier usually just, call Wix or GoDaddy, and within a day you can have your own website. And it doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily have to have your own domain at that point. It can be, under their parent URL. So anyway.
Okay. Well, if anyone needs any assistance with that, figuring that out, again, just let us know. I've put my email in the chat a long time ago. Feel free to reach out. Again, everyone should be on the GRC listserv to make sure you get invites to this. It's not like you really won't get these days, thankfully, you won't get very many messages in that, but you will be able to keep up with these events and certain other, things that apply to the community radio world. Again, we meet on the 4th Tuesday of every month. That's just a standing grassroots radio conference meeting. And we will be hosting another LPFM intensive webinar now that we're rolling in the new year. So so you new folks, stay tuned for that, and we can answer any of your questions, go over some of this stuff again, and just get you set up for where you need to be moving forward.
Sharon, could you have an agenda? Could you post an agenda for the future meetings?
No, unless you write one.
Okay. Well, I just like to.
No, I'm teasing. You're giving me more credit than I deserve, for sure.
Well, sometimes the information is going to be specialized. Some, there's a lot of things that new applicants need to know that existing stations aren't going to be involved in.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have a separate series of meetings for the new licensees.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, so we'll have this standing meeting the 4th Tuesday of every month. But between now and then, new LPFM folks, look out for an email and we'll do a special webinar just for you all. But thank you, Lloyd. Yeah, that's a good idea. No, I mean, honestly, I try with this meeting, I just try to send out a few topics that we'll be discussing. But if anybody ever has any topics for discussion or something we want to put on the very brief agenda that I add to the email for this meeting, you'd be welcome to. And I'd also like to say that I'd love to sort of pass the baton. What I'd ideally like to see with this meeting is that every month a different station is the virtual host of this meeting. So if we have anyone who'd like to step up and do that for next month, let me know.
I have a question. Do we have a soft deadline of when we're going to decide where the next GRC will be, or?
We don't right now, but we could come up with one.
I would like to see it 9 months ahead, which is, I guess, now. Okay.
Okay, regroup.
I would like to invite everyone to another Zoom call called Radio for People. And on that call, we discuss a lot of stuff, a lot of FCC kinds of stuff and what's going on with the FCC and how it affects you. Station updates, you can share with others what your station's doing and ask for advice. I mean, the brain trust goes on that Zoom call. And it meets second Monday of the month, which in February will be the 12th. And I'm going to put my email in the chat. And if you want to be notified or get the link, we don't advertise the link because, frankly, we don't want just anybody to get on the call. So my email's in the link in the chat, and so let me know if you want to get in there. I'm doing it right now.
Great, thank you, Betty. And that usually goes out to the GRC listserv as well.
It does.
And okay, Michael, back to your question. I think Well, we could give, and Damon, you could weigh in on this as well. How long should we give? We can send out a notice now, and how long should we give for stations to respond if they're interested? Oh, wait, Damon, we can't
You're muted.
hear you, Damon.
Muted.
Sorry
There you
about that. So, I mean, I would hope that somebody would know by at least March the 1st that they're the host. No later than March 1st, I would say, is a fair opportunity.
Okay, we're gonna have to get the applicants in and then maybe do, actually, we should maybe do, maybe at the February meeting of this, people could make their pitch. If the station wanted to do a pitch, does that sound good?
Say people get their application in, where will they get it in to?
We're gonna send it out to the GRC listserv, and then people can share that with, and then that will go, that just goes to the virtual GRC.
That's not my question. My
Okay.
question is, if somebody wants to be a host, they fill out the form, where does the form go?
To the GRC steering committee.
And who's that?
And that is previous stations who have hosted the conference in the past.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
So Damon, you're now on that illustrious list.
So
But you'll have to recuse yourself from the vote if you're stationed.
Damon, can you tell me how many people who attended were in the west half of the country? Do you know?
Oh, gee.
Or percentage, maybe. Just
It was, I'd say half of the people.
Really? Okay.
That, came for the entire 3-day conference. I'd say half of them were from the west of the Mississippi. I mean, it was a very well, I've been asked the question a couple times before, and it was a very well dispersed representation of our contiguous United States. I was really impressed.
And it was
I'd say it's about half and half.
Was it about 100 and 125 people?
So when you count all of the folks that attended, including people who just came to see Amy or who bought tickets to come to see Amy, we were right around 139, 140 people.
You had a very successful conference. Thank you very much.
It was wonderful.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
So I guess for population distribution, you're kind of in the center of the US, more or less, population-wise, not geographic, but population distribution. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, yeah, it was a good distribution of folks from, we had Midwest, California, Washington, Portland, Oregon area, Florida. It was pretty well distributed. Now, the heavy hitters were definitely Appalachia. Kentucky was well represented, WXOX, and a lot, a good chunk of folks. I think a lot of those Youngstown, Ohio folks that were on the call were here. So yeah, Appalachia, was the best represented, but after that, I think it was pretty well evenly distributed.
Well, it was a lot of fun. It was amazing. Okay, so the official call has gone out. I will send the application to the GRC listserv, and then we will, at the next meeting in February, whatever the 4th Tuesday of February is, we'll have anyone who's submitted their application make a short presentation about what they think they can do at the conference this year. All good?
Sounds good.
Does anybody else have any more comments? So it's been a really long night for everybody. I know a lot of people have just been listening, which is great, but we'd like to hear from you if anybody has any more questions or ideas.
I'm hungry.
Okay, well, we'll let you all go. LPFMers, we'll organize another little session just for you all to make sure everybody's on track. But thank you and congratulations just for getting your applications in. For those of you who did, that's like amazing. That's huge. It's very exciting, and I wish you all the best. Looking forward to hearing your stations.
Welcome to the GRC.
That's right. Thank you all for joining us.
Signing off.
All right.
Bye.
See you next month.